Hello everybody, my name is BearCozy and today we're playing some more Awaken Chaos Era. If it's your first time here, welcome, and if you're coming back, thank you so much for coming back and watching the videos. I really appreciate all of your support and all of your subscribes and likes. It's helping the channel to grow. So what I want to talk about today is actually how to roll gear properly. Right now, there's actually a gear enhancement event going on, which I already maxed out. Unfortunately, it only stopped at 2,500 points and I claimed all the rewards. Last time there was a gear enhancement event, I believe it went to 10K. I'm not sure why it's not this time. And last time I did this was probably about a month ago, and I did get myself an Awaken Soul Arcana, which was awesome. I was looking forward to getting another one. I've been farming gear and been prepared to roll it, and unfortunately, I'm already done and I still have gear to roll. So let's go ahead and do our daily summons, and then we'll talk about the right way to roll gear. Looking at the daily summons, right now I only got 2 shards. I got a third one with the free daily summon. Let's go ahead and pop the free one, see what we get. Right now I am at 1% Mercy, which is the standard, and I got CC, so CC is actually really good for the synthesis. I believe it's either the Hackrin or the Santas. I would have to double check, but CC is actually very, very good because I do need to get some Ascensions on Hackrin and on Santas, which is the main priority for me. Right now, my Santas has 0 Ascensions, and I definitely need some more Fusion Heroes. Let's pop one more, see what that gives us. That one is unskippable, and let's see, is it an epic or is it a Lego? I'm really hoping for a Lego, but, you know, I got another copy of Winstrix. It's been funny ever since about 3 weeks ago. I've been pulling lots and lots of Winstrix copies, and that's probably my 5th copy, so I'll take that. She's really good in Arena, and I am using her in my Go First Arena Nuke team. Let's go ahead and look at some gear. Now, I typically use the Gear Manager. That is the best way to do it and the best way to see where your stats are and what you're changing to. So, Gear Manager is really nice. When you click on that, it shows you your current build and your swap to build, and it actually changes your stats. So I want to talk about the best way and the right way to roll gear. Most of you know that you can roll gear, but a lot of the comments and the questions I've seen that come up the most, the biggest comment that comes up is actually not having enough resources to roll gear. And that is primarily because rolling gear to 6 and 9 is fairly easy and it's very inexpensive. Rolling it to 12 is okay as well, but when you start rolling gear to 15, it takes so many resources that if you roll 1 or 2 pieces to 15, that will actually eat up all of your resources, so you have to be very, very careful with which gear you roll to 15. Now, most of you should know at this point that gear enhances and gear rolls at 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So every time you roll a piece of gear, it actually has a chance to either roll on substats or to give you a new stat. So if we look at any of this gear, I typically like to start with boots. And if you look at any of this gear, I do have a couple of boots to 15 because this one was really, really worth taking to 15. And we can talk about why it was worth taking to 15. So let's look at some gear. Let's look at some boots that I have not rolled yet. I do have some speed boots. I have some attack boots as well. Now these are pretty good. These are cursed boots. Curse set does give you a 35% chance to launch a bonus attack using the character's basic ability. And we do have, these are attack percentage boots, which makes them pretty good. They are 6-star. We do have crit rate. We do have crit damage percentage. We have health percentage and resistance percentage. So as you notice, the first thing to look at when you're rolling gear is your main stat. The second thing to look at is your secondary stats. Since these are attack percentage boots for main stat, the absolute best stats they have on this for secondary stats is the crit rate percentage and the crit damage percentage. Those are really, really well because crit rate and crit damage work really well with attack percentage on the main stat. The only thing that I would like to see here is speed instead of resistance, and that would have been a perfect pair. Now, we can still roll this even though it doesn't have speed. Not every hero needs a lot of speed, and some have higher base speed than others. So the best thing to do is find a pair of boots that you like to roll, and I like to start with attack percentage boots if I know that my damage dealing heroes need attack boots, or health percentage boots if I know that I'm using them on a healer, or if I'm using them on a poisoner like Santas, like Angelo. And as you can see here, I have some health percentage boots there. And for the most part, gear is very character specific. So let's go back and find the boots I was going to roll. I wish these have speed on them, which they don't, but we can see if we can pick up speed somewhere else on some other substats. So the absolute best thing to do when you go to enhance, the best thing to do is to roll them in threes. What I mean by that is the first time you get an enhancement is when you actually get your level 3. And so when you get this to 3, it'll say enhances a stat or adds a secondary stat. Now, since these are all percentage substats and they're all good percentage, I really don't want an additional stat added here unless it's speed. And of course, I have no control over that. So let's go ahead and enhance that to 3, see how that rolls. And if we get, there we go. So this is actually looking very good. That is a fantastic start. It does roll on crit damage, which is phenomenal. As I've said, for attack percentage main stat boots, crit rate percentage and crit damage is good. Health is pretty good as well. You do need survivability. But if you're building a damage dealing hero, you really want as much crit rate and crit damage as you can. And of course, crit rate maxes out at 100. So don't go anything over 100% crit rate. Start dumping the rest. Once you get to 100% crit rate, start trying to get more crit damage stacked. Hey, you're still watching the video. That means you're enjoying the content. And if you're enjoying the content, that means somebody else will also. Click the subscribe button below and help this video reach more people so they can enjoy it as well. So a couple of quick tips if you did not know. You can actually select a pair of boots in this case or any gear. Double click on that gear and that will actually select all of the gear that is that type. And that right now, that is all green gear for me. And this actually takes it right to 6. So let's go ahead and roll this one more time. It's 6 now. Right now it rolled on health. That's not bad. What I really want to see on these boots is either a quad crit damage roll, a quad crit rate roll, or 2 crit rate, 2 on crit damage. And of course, quad rolls are very hard to get, but we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, we can get at least a double roll on crit damage, and that would be good. So if I do the same again, I'll go ahead and double click on these boots. It will select all of the similar boots. We go to 8. Now let's go ahead and use the boot charm here. Now, one more thing to note here, when you are rolling gear, not only is it better to roll gear 3 levels at a time, 3, 6, 9, 12, and then 15 if it's worth it. But what you also want to do is you want to use the gear specific charms. In this case, you could see I have boot charms here, and I also have regular gear charms. Now these gear charms you can use on any gear, but the boot charms you can only use on boots. So when you're rolling gear, go ahead and start with the gear specific charms. And in this case, these are boot charms. And I'm going to go ahead and pop this right to 9, see what happens there. And then once we've used up all of our boot charms, we can go to non-gear specific charms. So as you can see, this one rolled on crit rate, so that's pretty good. And it's actually worth taking to 12. And going to 12 does not require very much gear. I'm going to go ahead and select all of the similar gear here as well. Now, when doing this, when selecting all of the similar gear, make sure that you double check all of your stats, your substats, and your main stats. I know most of these I don't want to keep because I did not lock them. Well, I'll go through at the end of my runs, at the end of my multis, I go through and I look at the gear and I lock the ones that I want to keep. So let's go ahead and roll this a couple more times. Let's use a couple of these to help us get there. And roll it to 12. We're going to stop at 12. Now, why do you want to roll this 3 at a time? And the primary reason for that is if you go ahead and roll it straight to 9 or straight to 12, which you can do. If you have lots of gear and lots of resources, if you have a ton of charms, you can go ahead and roll it right to 9 or right to 12. But for me, as you could see, I do have some, but they are going down really quick. And I probably should have used the boot charms instead of the regular charms, but that's fine. So if you roll this straight to 9 or 12, God forbid you roll it straight to 15, sometimes you will not only add a flat stat, but it will also roll once or twice on that same flat stat that was added, and you don't get to see that if you roll it straight to 12. So that is why I typically like to roll it in 3s, or what I'll do is I'll just pop it to 6 and see if it rolled good. If it didn't roll good, I'll just leave it. If it rolled okay, I'll go to 9 or 12 and see how that rolls. So let's go ahead and pop that to 12. See how it's rolling one at a time on each. This is what you really don't want to see. You really want doubles or triple rolls. However, the substats are pretty good. I don't know that they're good enough to take to 15. All right, so there's the piece of gear. I lost track of it because I do have a bunch rolled to 12. Now, what you don't want to see is you don't want singles. You really, really want a double roll if you can. However, these boots are pretty good. I can use them at 12. I don't think these are necessarily worth rolling to 15 because I didn't get any double rolls. It doesn't have speed, but I can still use them at 12. And if they're working out well, if I find a good build with these boots, I can level them to 15 over time. So these boots we took to 12. Now let's look at boots that are worth taking to 15. And by the way, when you're gearing a hero, always start with the last three. Start with boots, start with rings, and start with necklaces. That is what you want to not only roll, but that's how you want to gear your heroes. You want to get as close substats as you can, and then fill it out with the rest. The only caveat here is unless you need a specific set like the Rage set, because you just can't get enough crit rate. So these are 12 boots. Now let's look at boots that I did take to 15, and let's talk about why they're worth building to 15. As you can see, the main stat is attack percentage, which is very, very good for a damage dealing hero. And of course, these are very good on Antanua, since Antanua has a chance to proc her basic again. The curse set gives her 35% to proc her basic again. So this curse set is very, very good on Antanua. And the main stat is attack percentage. Now, if we look at secondary stats, flat attack is not too good. But luckily, we didn't roll on flat attack. We actually rolled on crit damage. And we rolled on crit damage twice, which is absolutely fantastic. Focus we don't really need for Antanua, and we didn't roll there. So we do have two double rolls. We have a double roll on speed, which is great. And we do have a double roll on crit damage. So this is very, very good. What are these boots for? Now, these boots are very good for a hero that is damage dealing hero. And because we had a double roll on speed, that means that most likely we don't have to use speed boots on this hero. We can go with attack percentage boots, and then we can look for speed substats in our other gear to hit the speed requirement that we need. So that is the reason why I rolled these 215. Here's an example of boots worth rolling 215. Now, when these were level 12, they did roll once on crit damage, and they rolled twice on speed. And considering all the substats are percentage based, we do have crit damage percentage, we do have crit rate percentage, and 2 rolls of speed. I ended up rolling these 215, and I'm glad I did because these are 6-star attack percentage boots in a warrior set with crit damage of 13%, with 5% crit rate, and a triple speed roll. So these are 100% worth to take 215. And that is boots. Now, as I've mentioned before, when you are gearing a hero, I like to start with boots, and I like to work my way to rings, and then I like to work my way to necklaces. Okay, so looking at necklaces, I have a cursed necklace. It's a 6-star necklace with health percentage. I did roll it to 12. I got 1 roll on focus, 1 roll on crit damage, and then 1 roll on agility. So if I have a health percentage necklace, I know most likely this is not going on a damage dealing hero. And considering we got focus and crit damage, I know that this health necklace will either go on a healer or a poisoner. So I really don't want crit damage percentage on a poisoner or a healer. So I'm not going to roll this 215. However, I still need some gear. They still need to wear something. So we can stop at 12 because going to 12 doesn't really take that much. Now, if we look at this necklace down here, this is a warrior chain attack percentage necklace, which is really good for a damage dealing hero. However, I rolled it twice, and it not only added a defense flat substat, but it also rolled on it. And that happened because I rolled it right to 6. And that is exactly the reason why I said don't roll your gear straight to 12, or God forbid you roll it straight to 15, because you can get 3 or 4 flat stat rolls, and then you're wasting a lot of resources. So as I've mentioned, when you're gearing your hero, start with boots, rings, and necklaces, and then work your way over to the rest. Now, I wanted to show off this axe here. This axe is okay. Unfortunately, as you can see, it rolled kind of crappy. It has 1 roll on everything. It is still usable, but it's not worth taking 215. Now, here's a revival cane that's pretty good. It has a double speed roll, which is good, and I know some heroes are a lot slower than others. It has 2 speed rolls and a crit rate percentage. This one we can take to 12. This axe actually has pretty good substats. Unfortunately, we rolled twice on focus, so I'm going to hold on to this for a little while. I'm really not sure who I need that much focus on. And this axe I was really looking forward to. I was hoping to get a couple of rolls on crit rate. And as you can see, I stopped at 3 because the first roll was on flat defense. Now, the one thing you can do when you're rolling gear is you can actually open the filter here, click on secondary stats, and go to speed, and that will bring up all of your gear with speed on secondary stats. And the primary idea is to get some rolls on secondary stats as a speed, and that will allow you to use boots of your choice, whether you want to use health boots, defense boots, or attack boots. And as I've mentioned before, helmet and chest actually do not have speed on secondary stats, so keep in mind when you are rolling gear. And actually, I've rolled some good gear. So this is a really good example of gear that I wanted to keep and I wanted to take to 12. It has 2 rolls on attack, which is very, very good because the warrior set is an attack percent set. And bonus attack is actually very, very good on this piece. Here I found a nice cursed defense chest, and actually this is pretty good. It is 6-star, and it did roll twice on defense, so that's actually pretty good. Considering we can't get speed as a substat, that is probably one of the best rolls here I could get. The health is flat, so we really don't want this to roll on health. If the health was percentage, then we could take it. If we get a double health percentage roll, that would be good. But we did get 2 rolls on defense. Let's see if we can get one more. Maybe this piece will actually come out pretty good. Let's go ahead and see if we can, well, 10's a little high, but let's go ahead and roll it to 10 anyways. See how we do. See, right now, I would probably stop there because we did get a new attack and it's flat. So unfortunately, that's kind of not what we're looking for. It did roll twice on defense, which is good. But if it had health percentage here, I would keep it. But since it has flat health and flat attack, I think I can still use this, but I don't think I'm going to roll it any higher. So that is how you do it. Start with your boots, roll those, go over to your rings and then your necklaces, and then fill in the rest. When you're rolling gear, you want to try to roll percentage substats, and you want to try to roll gear that has speed substats on it. Hopefully that answered some questions. I did make a video on which gear to keep when you are farming. I made a video about boots, substats, main stats, and all of that. So if this did not answer all of your questions, feel free to watch that video. I'll put the thumbnail up on the screen. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave me any comments down below. If you hit the subscribe button, that will help my channel grow. And if you hit the thumbs up, that will tell the YouTube algo that you enjoyed this video. And that will help the video reach more people like you. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.